All right, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Kakwadash, Shalom Barakiim, Labakam Yasha'ala, Salaki, Kal Halayim La Alahaya Nawa, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Kakwadash, Shini Kabad, Gawal Wakab, Zakoni Noah, Wahashala Yakim Noah, all right, Yasha Allah Ba'ayth. Okay, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father. His name is Yahweh, and name is Son Yahweh Shai. And peace and blessings be upon the elect of Israel. All right, the Bakayarim Mashapakath, which means the elect family. And double honors to our elders and apostles in these times of Israel. All right, in the English known as Great Millstone. All right, in the Hebrew, that would be Gawal Wakub. All right, so I want to name. I tried to do this video yesterday, but I had my truck on. I noticed when I had my vehicle on, I can't record live because the audio is messed up. So, Spirit, I said, you know, let me just marinate on this, get some more info, and then do a video. And I wanted to name it IUIG and One Body and Pope Gregory the 13th. All right, because IUIG is really, that's what IUIC should name themselves, because what the calendar that they're following is after Pope Gregory. All right, and One Body in Yahushua, the calendar that they follow is the calendar of Pope Gregory. All right, now there's this quote. It says, "The day on which you worship, dictated by which calendar you use, reveals who you are worshiping." All right, again, the day on which you worship, dictated by which calendar you use, reveals who you are worshiping. So the first calendar, when you look up the history of the calendars, it talks about how the Babylonians established the first calendar. All right, but their calendar was not the first calendar established. They established the first calendar according to the sun, you know, putting together their 7-day week, all right, according to how the earth is in relation to the sun, meaning the solar calendar. Speed forward in time, you have the Romans, Julius Caesar. He took that calendar and tried to create his own calendar too, called the Julian calendar, all right, which his calendar was off, and some of the months started falling outside of the seasons. So speed forward a little bit more, you had Pope Gregory the 13th. What he did was he added 10 days on into that calendar that Julius Caesar previously had in October, so that now the so-called months would fall within Slovakia, within their time frames. All right, that's why winter, the winter months, the months right now, they seem like they kind of fall out. I know here on the East Coast in the United States, between, I want to say between 2010 and 2014, we didn't even have a springtime. All right, there wasn't really a springtime because the months were all off. When we literally went from winter, and this is also compared, that it's also coped with the Lord changing the seasons and making the signs, the times confusing through his signs. But we went from winter to springtime. I mean, winter to summertime. There was no springtime. All right, and that's why I call IUIC, IUIG, Israelites United in Gregory, all right, in One Body in Pope Gregory the 13th. And again, the day on which you worship, dictated by which calendar you use, reveals who you are worshiping. So now you have to ask, Friday to Saturday Sabbath, all right, well, what does Friday even mean? All right, when you look up Friday, they call it the 6th day. It translates into the Latin Dies Viernes, which means the day of Venus. So all these days of the week are named after planets, all right, in which the ancient Romans, all right, those Edomites from back then, and even Pope Gregory, the Roman Catholic Church, they worship these planets, all right. That's why they named the days after them, so they can always reverence them. And when you go into what Friday means, it goes into like an erotic sexual goddess. That's why they say the freaks come out at night, and usually when does everybody go out and do everything? On Friday nights, right? Then you have Saturday, which goes back to Saturn's day, all right, the planet Saturn Dies, all right, that's how you say it in the Latin. So now I'm going to get some precepts, all right, just some quick scriptures, and then that'll be that. And that's just one aspect of these guys, you know, but I just want to bring out some edification on this, because if your Sabbath, the good question is, if your Sabbath is Friday to Saturday, all right, and you claim that that's the true Sabbath, all right, then that means on January 14th of every single year It should fall on a Friday, and that's when your Passover should be. Your Passover should be coming up January 14th, 2020 at evening, and it should be on a Friday. And if it's not, that means your calendar's off. That means the day on which you're worshiping is dictated by somebody who's not the Lord. All right? Jeremiah 4:14. It says, O Jerusalem, wash thy heart from wickedness, that thou mayest be saved. How long shall thy vain thoughts lodge within thee? And it is vain, because the thing is, in this society, they have it set up where everything is robotic. You know, it's to keep a Friday to Saturday Sabbath is easy when you're doing it according to this system. When you're worshiping the beast, he makes it easy because the multitude's doing it. All right, and the scripture says, "Follow not the multitude to do evil." The so-called Jews, they keep their Sabbath on the same time. You have paganists and other people that keep their Sabbaths the same time. All right, so it's vain. It's a vain thought to be thinking, hey, you know what? Friday and Saturday is not even in the scriptures, but you know what? I'm going to go do it this way anyways because it's easier. I don't have to work on Saturday, or I don't have to work Friday night. All right, the Lord didn't create a Sabbath so you can maneuver it however you want. It always stayed the same. All right, verse 14 again. O Yerushalayim, wash thy heart from wickedness, that thou mayest be saved. How long shall the vain thoughts lodge within thee? All right, now let me get Exodus 23 again. The day on which you worship, dictated by which calendar you use, reveals who you're worshiping. All right, Exodus chapter 23. And they talk of the one body in Pope Gregory the 13th. They talk about keeping the commandments, but they're not even keeping this one. All right, Exodus 23 and 24, it says, "Thou shalt not bow down to." Let me start at 23. "For my angel shall go before thee and bring thee into the Amorites, the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Canaanites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off." So the Lord was bringing us into a land where he was going to cut people off. All right, he named the people, the ancient Hamites. Verse 24, it says, "Thou shalt not bow down to their gods, nor serve them, nor do after their works." And the works of the people in these times is to keep the Sabbath on Friday. The scriptures does not say anything about Frigga, all right, or about Venus being the day of the Lord's rest. But these heathens, they do it, all right? But we're not supposed to. It says, "But thou shalt utterly overthrow them and quick break down their images." And the way that we overthrow them and break them down is by keeping the Lord's Sabbath according to in his calendar, according to how Yahweh Ba'Shemi Hawashai set it up, not according to how Pope Gregory set it up. All right, whom they subconsciously worship because of how they're linked in with Esau's system. All right. You're keeping the Sabbath the same day as the heathens. Common sense should say that's not right, you know. But then again, not everybody has the common sense of Yahweh Ba'Shemi Hawashai, like the Zaquan Ak Kasat Magan says in our camp, you know, through the Spirit. This is Ecclesiasticus 43 and verse 6. It says, "He made the moon also to serve in her season, for a declaration of time, declaration of times, and a sign of the world. From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection." And when you read other versions of Sirach Ecclesiasticus, it literally says the moon tells you when the high holy days are. It says the moon dictates the high holy days. It literally says that. Now, if you're keeping your Sabbath and your high holy days according to Friday to Saturday sundown, again, how come your Passover isn't every year on January 14th on a Friday at evening? Why? Because you're following the sun. You're following the calendar of how the earth so-called goes around the sun. All right, but it says from the moon is the sign of feast, then a light of declaration of perfection. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. All right, it says the beauty of heaven, the glory of the stars, the ornament, giving a light in the highest places of the Lord. And if any brothers are from the country, you already know when you out in the country, If it's a full moon, it's bright as hell. You know, when it ain't a whole lot of houses around and lights, the moon is extremely bright. You know, that's why they show you, even though they never went to the moon for the moon landing, they show you they got to wear those visors because the moon is so bright, it'll blind you. All right, if your eyes ain't protected. All right. But that, even in saying that, we're not supposed to be worshiping the moon. If I can just get that real quick. In Job, he talks about, if my spirit have enticed me. All right. Let me just get that real quick. Job 31:26. If I beheld the sun when it shined, or the moon walking in its brightness, and my heart hath been secretly enticed. That's right. Israelites United in Greg have been secretly enticed by Pope Gregory. One body in confusion has been secretly enticed by Pope Gregory the 13th to think that, hey, you know what? This white man, he set up a good calendar. I'm going to forget that the moon dictates our months and our Sabbath. I'm going to go follow him. I'm going to tell all my congregation that it's Friday to Saturday because nobody has to work and it's easier. You see? Our Sabbaths are dictated by the moon, man. All right? And when the new moon changes, that's when it comes in. Who gives a damn what day it falls on? You still observe it. Not because it's easier, but because you're supposed to. All right? It says, in my heart, Job 31:27, in my heart hath been secretly enticed, or my mouth hath kissed my hand. This also were iniquity to be punished by the judge, for I should have denied the power that is above, because he created all these things. You know, you're supposed to worship the one that created the moon. All right? Even though the moon is beautiful in all its majesty, like the scripture says, you're supposed to worship Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai. No, you're all right. According to the moon, not the sun. All right. See Esau trying to smite my phone with the sun. Damn dogs. All right, but this truth is gonna go out, man. You know. Last precept. Right, but this truth is gonna go out, man. You know. Last precept here. Now I gotta head back into the Shaddai. All right, to the plain T. And Shalom to all the elect tuning in. All right. FC Zaquan, Shalom Zaquan, what they doing is wrong. That they're locked. I'm just trying to reconnect. Esau, you know, everybody's bringing out what they believe is the truth right now, and Esau and Yahweh Shai is using us to condemn it, and Esau doesn't like that. So the hell with Pope Gregory, the hell with Israelites, Yahweh Shai, Shalom.